Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program from our studios in Jerusalem. Great to be with you again and to bring you the news, what's happening behind the news, and to bring you some teaching from a Hebraic perspective that Natalie's going to bring. And we're so honored to be in your company again. And you know, it's very interesting because Israel is First, that's the name of the TV program. And so a lot of the things that are happening here first for a reason. This is the very place where everything is going to come together for the end times in the city of Jerusalem. Now, in the news, we are continuing to have the Gaza war, but we'd like to bring you some news which you may not know about, which is happening in the country. Whilst we're in the middle, or in the, I was going to say the middle, but I don't know if we're in the middle, Nathalie, of the Gaza war. But anyway,
no, they say that is the end of it.
Right.
But we can see things happening in the north.
It's still going on. It's still continuing as we're in the studio, and
9 months after.
And a lot of people are saying it's going to continue for the near future. Now, computers. One of the issues in Israel is cyber hacking, and Israel's hospitals have faced another nationwide, not just one hospital, but nationwide computer system failure. As I know many of you are concerned about this because you monitor what's going on in Israel. Well, computers are very susceptible to being hacked, and so this is something which you need to know about.
And we saw the reality of it because
Right.
we had a friend who was going to have an operation.
Mm-hmm.
On that day, they had trouble with the computer.
Right.
And fortunately, he wasn't on the operation table at the time. They didn't really want to say to them what was happening, but they could see that it was a problem.
So cyber attacks, this is the Health Ministry reported another breakdown in the Chameleon computerized medical record system. This is the software that the clinics in Israel and the hospitals use, which led to copying of incorrect blood types, wrong diagnosis, and erroneous recording of procedures or operations, as Nathalie just said. So this is a major problem for the clinics and hospitals, that they get the blood types wrong. I mean, it's very serious.
Yes.
And wrong diagnosis and wrong recording of procedures, all very, very serious. By the way, in February 2024, just this year, another malfunction occurred in the Chameleon software system installed in most hospitals. It was causing a problem with the medications that are fixed to the patient's records. The failure of the medical software, integral to the operation and treatment procedure in emergency rooms in Israel and hospital departments across the country, comes when the healthcare system is already experiencing unprecedented levels of strain, as Nathalie may tell you in 1 second. She was on location at a hospital in Israel, so she can give us an update as to what she saw. The Chameleon system, the software, has been installed and operated since 2008, so that's even before we started bringing you programs from the land of Israel. On location, we were doing it in the UK at that time, but even before we were in Israel, having the studio here. In about 80% of the hospitals in Israel, this is that have Chameleon, and manages the entire process of admission in the emergency room, hospitalization and treatment in the departments and clinics and hospitals. The Chameleon software provides doctors with an overview of all the patients in a given department, along with treatment status, test results, and more. Software is used in the government hospitals and hospitals belonging to Clalit, Israel's largest healthcare provider. And I've got first-hand knowledge of that. I can tell you that the doctor registers straight away when you go to Clalit all the information on computers. Since 2021, Israeli hospitals have encountered a series of cyber attacks with severe consequences. These incidents have included ransomware attacks, where they hold the hospital to ransom, distributed denial of service, DDoS attacks, and data breaches, which is also very serious, aimed at crippling the hospital's operations and compromising patient information. State Controller Matanayu Engelman reported in May just of this year that Israel's healthcare system was vulnerable to cyber attacks. To test the preparedness of the hospitals, a team of hackers from his department, overseen by his department, carried out a controlled penetration of software at a major hospital, revealing deficiencies in the medical centre's security preparations and responses to the hack. The problem of a computer breakdown is that both the doctors and nurses will be missing vital data. For example, the time, this is just on the medication, the time that the medication is given, the full name of the medication form, it has a whole thing that you have to fill in, dosage, frequency of administration, route of administration, in other words, how is it injected or taken orally, duration of administration, and special instructions if applicable. So that's just, Nathalie, that's just the medication. If we forget all the other things that go on in a hospital, as well as that, with the operations, the procedures, there's a huge amount that goes on in hospital, right from when the patient is admitted to when he's discharged, or when she's discharged. So to attack the computer system is getting at the very heart of the hospital and sends it basically back to the days of paper. The problem being is that they don't really have now the paper systems to take over. Now, Nathalie, you were on location as our special correspondent at a hospital in Jerusalem. So maybe you can tell us a bit.
I was in Hadassah and Kerem, which is one of the very big hospital. You have even like a little town now because you can go to do your shopping on the side for people who are there like long term. I went to ER, not for myself. I went to visit a friend, and there was people, everywhere. Like in the chambers, I would say, in the blocks, but there was people on trolleys outside waiting. I mean, it's just like unbelievable. My friend, fortunately, was inside a cubicle, and somebody came to look after her. But you need to bring your own water. It's quite interesting to see how it was. There was a lady who came to take a temperature and, few temperature and blood pressure and all of that. And so she wrote it on a piece of paper, but then she said, is it okay now? I'm going to bring it on the computer. I'm going to put it on the computer. So next to the bed, you don't have anything. You don't have any paper of the patient. Everything is on the computers. And I mean, with what you are saying, it's just unbelievable, because we are not, if something goes wrong with the computers, we're not in control anymore of, all the patients. And it's quite scary to see that. And interesting enough, also, you need to know, because sometimes it's different in different countries, but here the soldiers who are looked after, they go in normal hospital, because there are no, like for example in France we had a before military hospital, but here in Israel there is no military hospital, so they are all the soldiers will be mixed with the other people too. So this is interesting to see. It's a little town, Hadassah Hospital.
And Hadassah Hospital is one of the biggest hospitals in Jerusalem, which is just on the outskirts in Ein Kerem. Some of you may be familiar with Ein Kerem, and it's just on the outskirts of Jerusalem. Now, one of the talking about the army and stuff and soldiers, one of the issues Israel National News has picked up is has the army policy changed? Due to the manpower crisis, this is Israel National News reporting, due to the manpower crisis in the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF, hundreds of soldiers destined for the intelligence and IT units will now be sent to combat forces. The IDF is changing its policy in light of the great shortage of combat personnel in the war and has decided to reduce the quotas for the intelligence units, such as 8200, which is very famous in Israel, for those who with a combat profile. In other words, let me just explain. Because there's mandatory national service, every person in schools around the country, when they are 18, I believe, are conscripted to the Israel Defense Force or national service. Usually it's the Israel Defense Force, but some choose to do other national service in the country, such as Magen David Adom, the Israeli ambulance service. But the majority of people go into the Israeli Defense Force, and a lot of the top people will go into the intelligence unit. It's something very highly esteemed, and it means, like in the UK or the US, you choose colleges or university for your career. Well, here in Israel, people would choose to go into a very good regiment, the intelligence being the best, to enable them to have a good career in the country and a good career in the future. So these are a lot of people who are looking for a career choice, but because of the manpower shortage, the people who are being conscripted will may not be able to be in the quota for the intelligence units, but will have to serve in the combat units. According to Yedidoth Roneth Daily, that's one of the major news sources in Israel. According to the report, the new policy affects hundreds of soldiers who are considered the highest quality of personnel enlisting in the IDF. The IDF stated that military candidates with a combat profile, in other words, those who are suitable to be sent for combat, who receive the summons to the intelligence course, will continue the process as usual, but in the end, a significant lower number of candidates will be accepted. So the quotas are being changed to enable the IDF to take people who are going to go into intelligence to go now to the combat forces. Unit 8200 sources criticised the decision and claimed that it would ultimately harm the quality of the IDF's long-term intelligence capabilities. They are not happy that the best of the best are being siphoned for combat duties. So there's a big issue here, and it's because of the manpower needs. And we've talked a bit about the reservists having their ages changed, or the age limit for reservists, and even going up for some roles up to the age of 50 because of the manpower shortage. Now, Nathalie, you always have something for us, and we're looking forward to hearing from you today.
So, yes, now we are almost like nine months into this war. And you know that it started on Simchat Torah, which was the last day of Sukkot. And I heard already few things about Sukkot, and I want to outline that. And I want to tell you also, because there is three main festival, Feast of the Lord, in the Jewish belief, and you have for the redemption, you have Passover, and then Pesach, and then you have Shavuot, which is Pentecost, when the Torah was given, and then you have Sukkot. Okay, so Sukkot is the last one. Passover for the Christian is, they say, is the lamb, the Paschal lamb, and so is like Jesus who came to give his life for us. And the very interesting things, they read the passage when it's Passover, Pesach, they are also reading something, a book, and every year, and is the Song of Songs, which is a beautiful song, and is like the beloved. This is the song of the beloved. And so we can think about the beloved, how he came to be with us and to show us the way how to be with God. Okay, so this will be the first festival. Then you have Shavuot, 50 days after. And Shavuot is Pentecost, is when the Torah was given to them. So they go out of Egypt, they go in the wilderness, they arrive in the mountain of Sinai, and God is giving them the Torah, which was the best amazing gift. I always say that. I might speak maybe a bit more one day. I've done some writing about it, but I've learned, when the Torah was given, it was chiseled out of the throne of God, and it was in the blue color of how do we say? Oh, sapphire. And you can see in the Bible, in few places, it's speaking about sapphire, in Ezekiel, and I think it's also in Exodus 19, where it was given. So you have that, and when is the time of Shavuot? They read the book of Ruth, which is very interesting because Ruth was the great-grandma of David, King David. She was not a Jew, but she became part of the Jewish nation, and she married Boaz, and Boaz has Obed, and Obed had Ishai, and Ishai had David. And so it's like, it was from the tribe of Judah, and this is like very special. And so you can see how God, when he gave the Torah, the Jewish people took their responsibility to take it, and they are going to be the light for the nations. So the plan of God has always been that all the nations will come under him, and he will be the king. Okay, so you have Passover, then Shavuot, and then at the end of the summer you have Sukkot. Sukkot is the Feast of Tabernacle, which is an amazing feast. You go to sleep outside in a little hut, saying that it's God who is looking after you all the time, that you don't have to think all the time, that is you who are the master of your life. He is the master of your life, but it's like his tabernacle and his time of ingathering, and it's the ingathering also. It will be that we see of the Jewish people with the nations. The nations will join the Jewish people. Now, what I find during these days, also what they read, and this is what I want to tell you a bit more today, they read, and you can write it down, they read Zechariah 14, verse 1 to 21. This is the first day. Then, because Sukkot is 7 days. Then after they read Kings 1, 8, chapter 8, verse 2 to 21. And then the third day, they read Ezekiel 38, 18 to the end, and then chapter 39 to the verse 16. So when you look at that, and you think that the 7th of October was Simchat Torah, was the last day of Sukkot, the Jewish people know that, because in Ezekiel 38 and 39 is Gog and Magog. So they know that it will happen during Sukkot. It's like they can pinpoint. And when we see now what happened on the 7th of October, now that we have a bit of, we can see more 9 months after, because when the thing happens, it's very difficult to see what God is doing. You always need to see in time, and suddenly you see more his hands and what he's doing. And when we see what's happening now, sometimes I'm thinking, well, there was the 6-day war. In 6 days, they finished the war. They had so much territories that they took back. They had Yerushalayim. I mean, it's like it was a miracle of a miracle of a miracle. And now 9 months after, it's really dragging. They seems to say, if we look far, like a bit like a bird view, they seems to say that it's the end or almost of the war in Gaza, which is a bit tricky because you can still see some missiles sent from Gaza. There is still conflicts over there, and the people who are living around Gaza is still not secure. And now you know all about it. I'm sure when you look at the news, you see what's happening with Hezbollah in the north, and this is like an escalation is getting worse, and we don't know what will happen, but this is, you know, this is where we are at now. But when you read these three passages, and it's because of that I wanted really to tell you that some people now that I listen to, some Jewish people, are really saying now we are in the war of Gog and Magog. They weren't saying that before. But there is more and more rabbis and people who are reading the Torah who are saying we are in the time of Gog and Magog. We don't know for how long it will be. It was interesting because I was reading again Ezekiel 38 this week, and there is written a passage where it's like, and for a long time, and I was like, wow, I never seen that before. And it was like, you know, again, it's only God who knows the things, but we can see that the day of the Lord is coming close, okay? Mashiach, the Messiah, is going to come back, and he's giving us the time, and we say now, from the Jewish people and from the nations to every one of us to look at where we are at, put our things in order with him, and be prepared for his coming. And when you read all these passages, is about that, is about the day of the Lord. Zechariah 14, I say again, Zechariah 14, 1 to 21. The day of the Lord is when God will be proclaimed. He is one, okay? This will be so wonderful. We know we are waiting for that. We can see the nations coming to join the Jewish people. We can see so many people, so many Christians who start to receive understand the Jewish roots, that they have to cling to the Jewish people because they have the Torah. They have God has given the instruction to live the right way. And this is just amazing. And again, it will be for all the nations. And by the way, in Zechariah 14 at the end, is like he said, all the nations will come for Sukkot. So you have to understand when the day of the Lord comes and is his judgment, we will go into the millennium. And this millennium, like we always said again and again, is the Lord's Prayer. May your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. So when the Messiah come on earth, and by the way, also this passage of Zechariah is when the Messiah put his foot on the Mount of Olives, which means, okay, he will be back here. All right, so all of that, we are in a very deep preparation. We can see in all the nations, and obviously in the nation of Israel, which is the center of the world, we can see this prevailing, this travail in the heart of many people, and God is preparing us and saying, okay, turn your eyes to me. And also in King 1 is the story when Solomon is coming into the temple, which was the first temple, and suddenly the presence of God come, and the Levites can't even do the service, because when the presence of God come, it's like you aren't done. It's like, it's too much. We will have no words. You know, right now we are in pain. There is a lot of pain all around the world, but our pain and our cry will be turned into joy and singing, and we will see that. I really think that we're in this generation, because it can't carry on further on with all the things that we saw, with the genetic changes and all these things. You know, we are in this last generation. And Ezekiel obviously is Gog and Magog, and God say, I will bring Gog I will bring Magog on my mountain, because say, my mountain, and it's Judea and Samaria, I will bring my enemy there, because it's the place where I want to judge him. I don't want to go to judge him in his own place. I will bring him here on the mountain, and I will judge him here. And we are going to see the hand of God. And he said at the end of Ezekiel, so that the nations will know. No, first of all, it's written, so Israel will know, and the nation will know. So we are going to see amazing things that never been seen before, and we just have to prepare our hearts in these things coming.
Yeah, we're going through like maybe the end of the plagues of the Exodus. We've been going through the plagues of the different things going on in the world. So we've been progressing through that, and we were talking now about how people are suffering in Israel. And this example of the hospital is just one example of some of the suffering that's going on, and with the war and everything. So you can catch up with all the news from our website. You know, we have a daily news story. You can get that. You can also, that's on the media button. You just press the Israel News. You can also receive our weekly update, which Nathalie works hard on, and that's you can sign up on the website. You can watch this program on the website. There's a lot of information. You can also contact us, and you can also help us and support the work that we're doing. And you can go to the donate page, and there's a lot of information. If you want to know ways you can help us, or you would like to sponsor a program, then please contact us, and we will let you know. The website, by the way, is www.israelfirst.org. And remember, we're the program that looks at the land, the people, and the language.